Something absolutely incredible is going on with Wall Street. Wall Street has obviously been screwing people over for decades, but people have started using their own tactic against them. So even if you're not really into finance or anything of that sort, it's really hard to miss what's been going on in the past few days. And it's been a lot of talk with things such as Reddit, Robinhood, and many other financial industries and Wall Street that have really been harmed by a process called shorting. Now, shorting has until recently been one of the most profitable schemes that Wall Street uses to manipulate money. It works a little something like this. Let's say 5 bananas cost $10, and one ape on the market has 5 bananas. Then a snake comes along and asks to borrow the 5 bananas for a bit. He then sells them for a price of $10. Then the snake puts out rumors that the banana value in the market is falling, and thus due to these rumors, the market price of the banana does indeed fall. Then the snake ends up buying back the bananas for $5 when he originally sold them for $10. The snake then returns to the ape and gives him his bananas back. The snake has now made a $5 profit. So just though this analogy is perfectly clear, we're the apes, the snake is Wall Street, and we the apes just blew up their entire scheme. Now, because of COVID-19 lockdowns and a more online gaming community that's been rising, Wall Street shorters identified the retail store GameStop as the target for their next shorting scheme. One fund in particular, Melvin Capital Management, a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund, had a $55 million short against GameStop. Usually you don't have to disclose how much the shorts are, but a shorter slipped up and revealed the amount, and Reddit users caught on. So while the shorters were expecting to buy the borrowed shares at a very low price, tens of thousands of regular people were now competing for the same stocks. And when the shares were due, the Reddit users refused to sell, asking for higher and higher prices. So let's go back and explain this through the way of the animal kingdom, because that seems to work pretty well. Now remember the snake that borrowed the bananas and then returned them to the ape after making a profit? Now imagine if all the apes noticed this, banded together, and bought all of the bananas in the market until the snake had no other choice but to buy from one of the apes in order to return what they had originally borrowed. And on top of that, imagine if all those apes stuck together and asked for higher and higher prices until the snake was forced to declare bankruptcy. Now, this is quite literally what happened. I mean, not with apes and snakes, but rather with Wall Street. I mean, this has caused a panic in the finance community. Wall Street, who has for decades advocated for deregulation so they could freely screw you over, is now tapping their contacts in news media and Congress, asking for regulation that could block regular people from exploiting them in the same manner they've been doing for decades. Live on air, CNBC and other news outlets have called out for regulations from Washington. I'm going to show you one of those segments, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the panic.
They're concentrated because I don't have subpoena power and I can't really go out and look at it. I can argue I don't even know if there are foreign powers at work here behind the scenes trying to make chaos of our market.
I'm wondering whether it's part of the same problem, the type of regulation that we finally need to consider. And like I said, we should always have a light touch with regulation, but.
So how are the Reddit users who've acquired nearly $2 billion off of this scheme responding? Well, actually quite beautifully. As Wall Street oligarchs are panicking that they might not be able to buy their 12th yacht, the newly rich Reddit users are now talking about how they're planning on donating their money to the poor. Alright, I guess I have a confession to make because I have been an outspoken critic of Reddit, thinking it has really no practical use, but hey, finally a practical reason for its existence. So what is the takeaway from all of this? Well, I want to make it completely clear that what the Reddit users are doing is not in itself a good thing. This is casino gambling with other people's money and jobs. However, the reason this is good is because that they have exposed that the entire Wall Street industry is not real. It doesn't add value, it doesn't deal with real money, and it just moves around money to make a profit. Most importantly, it's exposed how Wall Street banks on us failing and suffering. The more we suffer, the more they can short us. And now, well, they're getting a sweet taste of their own medicine.